website. Or you can check out Liquipedia. Liquipedia actually recently had a new makeover for the front page. I love it. You can check out all the results there as well.
I'm going to just check if these players are mineral boosting.
That's right. Mineral boosting, the new trick in StarCraft 2 where you rally your drone a little bit close to the mineral, but you shift Q it. That way it doesn't lose acceleration. I know it sounds like a very advanced thing, but it's just a way so you can optimize your trip to the minerals back and forth a little bit faster.
Exactly. For some reason, when you actually mine normally, there's a deceleration. Like your drones are like, okay,
well, they don't want to go too fast.
I know. You know, when I was playing soccer a lot, I had a huge trouble actually stopping myself because my cleats were awful. So what would happen is, like, I would go for the ball, they would already kick it, and I couldn't stop myself. I would run into the people. I actually got red carded one time.
Yes. I played soccer twice in my life, Andre.
Oh.
When I mean twice, I mean like for school.
Mm-hmm.
And I never, ever, ever got played. I always sat on the bench. I was a bench warmer through and through.
Sorry.
That is my soccer story.
Well, if you want, we can start up our own team over here.
Actually, no. We were thinking about having our own NASL office soccer team. I know Rotterdam really wanted to do one.
Rotterdam plays soccer?
Yeah. He plays. Oh no. He plays football. He plays football.
I didn't think he played. I thought he only watched.
No. Rotterdam loves playing soccer. Actually, in fact, if you ever head over to the Razor Academy with Mr. Bitter in Rotterdam, they always play soccer in the back with Beastie. Beastie's actually pretty good. They tried playing with like a couple of the guys like Gix and J-Mac. Good luck to all three of them at MLG this weekend.
Good luck. Yeah, well, I would, of course, love to play. Let's do it.
All right,
I call.
We can do that.
Anyway, these two Zergs are going to scout each other right away. And what this basically says is you're most likely going to go into 15 hatch. Once you get a good scout on your opponent completely, it's very, very easy to just see drone counts, see timings, and from here, this should start off probably 2 base. We're going to be maybe 6 minutes in, and that's when we're going to actually see diversions. Yeah,
the premise is that if you have full information on your opponent, you can do everything they do, but just slightly later and have a slightly better economy and have a slightly bigger army. And those things compound over time. And so that's why even back if you think to Metalopolis or even Lost Temple or Days on Shattered Temple where you spawn close by air, you can see everything. As a result, Zergs won't do anything too risky until they can get rid of the Overlords, and that's usually after the first Queens pop out.
You know, back in StarCraft 1, I had this one ZVZ I remember where both of us scouted each other close positions like Lost Temple, I think. This is back in the day. And what we ended up doing was going 4 hatches, 2 extractors before getting a spawning pool. Because neither of us wanted to get a spawning pool. We were just like, okay, you get the spawning pool first. No, you get it first. And we just didn't commit at all.
So like no one ever made a spawning pool.
Yeah, we just didn't make a spawning pool.
Imagine that happened in ZVZ where they just kept making hatcheries and drones.
It could happen, bro.
until the spawning pool was placed down. It's pretty insane. It'd be so funny. And like you just have like you just start the game at 85 drones, both. I think that's every Zerg's wet dream. In some.
It's no rush 30 minutes, man. No, probably not. No, I shouldn't say 30 minutes. No rush 10 minutes. Excuse me. I forgot larva injects.
Oh, there's no queens. You can't necessarily get a queen without a pool.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, no rush 30 minutes.
You can see double queens for both players just makes them really strong economically as well as safe. And something that's kind of cool is that the hatchery is very close to the ramp. So that way, if you can just inject and you can even kind of protect the hatchery from the queens blocking the ramp kind of situation.
Absolutely. So. From here, obviously, both players are just mimicking each other. As we were talking about, very little diversion once you know your opponent is going exactly what you're going. You're able to just prioritize, as you said, and get that slightly better economy over your opponent. But, you know, for the most part, they are going to the same. If we look at the income tab, 25 to 24, but I'm sure in the production tab it's going to reflect differently. As you can see, 3 more drones coming out from Bly over Slivko. But let's go into, you know, after 2 base, what happens? There's going to be a little bit of Zergling Baneling trades, I'm sure, in the beginning phases where they're just testing each other and also trying to get a scout on each other. This is what we see time and time again for ZVZ. The big question is, where do you take your expansion? Is it going to be over here or over here? Actually, Mutaplay is actually pretty prevalent as well because you can easily Spinecrawler wall this top of the ramp, and it's kind of a narrow little choke that you have to go into. So definitely a possibility, but the fact of the matter is it's hard to take your third base. Look at this. If you expand over here, it's closer to your opponent. Roach timings are a lot better. Over here, it's like, well, I can't really incorporate any queens. It makes my defenses significantly weaker. So I'm really interested to see how these players actually develop their third base, how they're actually looking to progress into this mid-game stage, whether it's just going to be, you know, standard kind of boring roach zergling baneling, or they have some clever little trick where they go mass zerglings, or they go into something like mutas or infestors to take that third base.
And that's kind of the dynamic you have in mid-game in ZVZ nowadays, and we'll see how it chooses to pan out. Of course, we saw Slivko in the last time in ZVZ go for a Roach Hydra base composition and really just make himself stable in terms of healthy supply and just ability to really push his opponent. Now, it's a little bit harder to do those kinds of builds on Shakur's Plateau because the ramps to the natural are a little bit tighter just because you can't really force yourself in, so infestors become really empowered. But then the middle of the map is really difficult to kind of capitalize on those kinds of things as well. So we'll see how both players choose to really capitalize on that. You can see for now, Bly is going for a third hatchery significantly earlier and getting his Mutalisk up. But, oh, Slivko sees it. Good, very good. With his scouting zergling, that's huge.
Slivko is prepared. He already has his Roach Horn up, so he can punish his opponent. This third base shouldn't actually exist. I think instead it should be 3 spine crawlers. I think that's a much better investment, although that's a little bit safer. This one's a little bit more economically aggressive. And as soon as Slivko reveals, I think, his roaches, for now he should hide them, but once he reveals them, this should be a very powerful force to actually deal with. I don't know how Bly's going to actually react.
Well, you know, the big thing is that Slivko, now that he knows, he can formulate a timing around it, but you can see that Bly's making a lot of banelings here straight into the watchtower, trying to see if he can get a good engagement if he can, but of course banelings against zerglings always provide such an interesting dynamic because it can be a very inefficient trade or it can be the most efficient trade in the world.
Absolutely. And what Bly is trying to do is establish his... I don't know how that got undone, but he's trying to establish his third base by actually threatening a counterattack. You can see the third base over here in top right is being now, I guess, furnished with a couple of drones here. But Bly needs to be careful. I think if Slivko actually saw this third base coming up, I think he assumed that Bly would get a ton of spine crawlers over here and just defend like that. But Bly is definitely playing on a razor-thin edge. At any time, Slivko can actually push forward, and Bly is in so much trouble.
We were talking about that tightrope earlier. You can see that Bly actually had a pack of zerglings outside of the conventional third for Slivko, and he tried to see if he can threaten a counterattack whenever he can. That's kind of like what you want to do with Mutaling, just always threaten a counterattack if they ever move out and really trade. Now that Bly controls the map pretty efficiently, he's starting to pick off overlords, and now, again, Slivko forced to remake a lot of them. But Slivko's pretty grounded. As long as he can keep his drone count pretty healthy, he'll be in good shape. But the big thing is Bly's been able to really pump out drones behind this as well. He's actually ahead in the workers. A couple mules get fungled, but
he missed the big fungal, man.
He needs to be able to latch onto the rest of them.
And yeah, he kind of missed 2 fungals there. He should have gotten a lot more, but as you can see, the queens are just so massive. Now, something that I've seen actually Scarlet do, and I've been doing a lot, is actually sending queens. You just build up in a ton of queens, and you just go queen, infestor, zergling, roach. And it's actually a really efficient way to hit a timing before Bly can switch over to infestors. That's his general way that he wants to progress on, but look at this hive is so early. You just do not expect this. And what Slivko really needs in this situation is to send some sort of overseer. You need to constantly check your opponents to see where they're going with this. Normally, this isn't in Bly's range. People would say this is absolutely crazy because it is. Like, Bly has been fighting this situation where it's like, I'm going to invest in my economy and just rely on you not attacking. And Slivko so far has complied to that. And if he keeps doing this, he will be in a situation where he's facing Broodlords, and he'll still be on Roach Infestor.
Yeah, and Bly, he's been able to squeeze that hive in a lot earlier because he only has 1 Evo chamber really going for upgrades. He's getting melee attacks. And he's now starting to wall off pretty considerably. Really wants to prevent this attack from being able to really come to fruition. Wants to hold it outside of his production line, and he has enough infestors to kind of buy him some time if he can land good fungals. I want to see if Slivko's going to be able to respond really well. Now he's bringing forward his queens, just like you were saying, Andre. It's going to be very useful to him if he's able to capitalize on it. And Slivko sees a bunch of spawns about to finish up as well. So Bly bought just enough time. And I don't know. I think Bly's okay.
You know, I think the Roach is still too powerful. I don't think he'll be able to stop this. Bly is in a position where he doesn't really have a lot of infestors. He has to switch over to Roaches. Remember, he invested in Hive Tech. Here we go. Infested Terrans are going to pop out. Infested Terrans are so efficient against Spine Crawlers. This is really how you deal with it. And you can see Bly has to back up so fast from here. Now the third base is under serious threat. And not only that, the Natural's under serious threat. And there you go. Slivko is going to make the move over to the third base with his infestors, using his Infested Terrans. This is going to be very efficient. And Bly, what does he really have to go to right now? He doesn't have Broodlords out in the field. He's going to lose his third base quite substantially. And this is a massive advantage for Slivko. Very well played.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Andre. I was wrong. You can see that Bly did not have enough. He just had the Infestors and the Spine Crawlers. Did not have anything else to really follow up on that, but he does catch a lot of Infestors on a fungal. That's really useful, especially considering that's going to really remove any future utility out of those army from Slivko, but he's got a huge remax. He's got a lot of Roaches coming for the flank, and it might trade Infestor for Infestor because Bly now has to be the one running, and he's the one getting sandwiched instead. Bly's third was okay for a little bit of time, but the reinforcements from Slivko was just so many Roaches, and the Roaches do have +2 missile attacks as well, adding to the DPS so significantly, and Bly will not be able to hold. Slivko playing so well. And, I mean, Bly had a great idea, but not really able to capitalize on that Greater Spider whatsoever, as he's getting a couple of Corruptors out, but even by the time he gets the Broodlords out, the damage has been done. It's almost similar to the game with Slivko, and the other Turkey played, for the life of me, I can't remember right now.
Starts with an R.
Revolver? Was it
Revolver?
No, it wasn't the Revolver. It was
Mini
Mini
Razor.
Razor.
Thank you.
That's correct. Thank you. And you can see that at this point, Bly just losing all of his economy. Broodlords do finish, and his army could potentially be cleaned up, but not after he loses so much.
Yes, that's exactly right. And from here, Hydra Den is on the way, and all he has to do is make actually a Spire. Spire, bank up in a ton of minerals and gas, which he's already doing. And those Broodlords are dead. He can rely on Infestors. There's so many things that he can just do, but the fact of the matter is, keep these Roaches alive. Make sure that Broodlords can't go attack unless you want a base trade. Well, actually, it's basically a base trade right now. These Roaches are doing just an excessive amount of damage. But yeah, I mean, everybody knows Bly is in an unwinnable situation. Slivko played this very, very nicely. He took his third a lot safer. And he basically said, my opponent 100% is going Mutas. He actually kind of hard countered that to begin with while taking the expansion, just saying, okay, my opponent is kind of relegated to Zergling Baneling. I already saw that there's no Roach Warren up with that initial Zergling scout. He saw the Spire coming out on the way. He just said, I'm going to block this, get a huge income advantage, and then off of that, I'm just going to win and push because I defend against your stuff so much more efficiently. And oh my god, Infestors.
The Infestors get caught. The Broodlords are in an okay position, but they do end up getting fungal. The Infested Terrans will add a good amount of DPS as long as the Queens can also add some range. But Bly does pull back and is good control thus far. But what can he really do against the counterattack? There's almost nothing. The Broodlords are too slow. This is a great decision from Slivko. As soon as he just snipes the rest of the buildings, Andre, and there's almost no economy left for Bly. And Bly, I mean, as great as Broodlords are, they can't keep pushing forever against his army.
Yeah, he needs to lift the hatchery. That's the only thing.
Float it to the corner.
Float it to the corner and then rely on his Broodlords.
At that point, just continue the base trade. But this is just so hard for Bly. I mean, in this case, he has nothing in production, and there's more and more Hydras coming out from Slivko. And as long as he just keeps killing the Broodlords one after another, it's going to be really tough for Bly to do anything.
Exactly. The Spire Tech is going to be made. It's a little late, a little bit, but it's cool. I mean, still, look at this. Hydras and Infestors will be able to clean this up, I'm sure. And all you need is the Roaches. The Roaches actually do help a little bit. They tank a little bit of the damage. On top of that, they're able to clear off any of those Broodlings. And here we go, the drones. Oh, the drones might be the game breaker, though.
The drones trying to tank for the Broodlords. Nope. And drones and Broodlings make a very good meat shield, but not compared to just the Hydras on creep. And this is just way too much DPS that Bly to overcome. Bly now drops to just 10 supply, as he only has a few drones and a couple lings left to tell a tale. GG.
GG. And Slivko, 4 games in a row. That is a total of $300.
Sliv KO all of his opponents, and Slivko now, just like you said, $300, wins 4 games in a row, and we've had some pretty long stays. It's not really too many people knocking off each other. It's just who is playing really well, and Slivko's playing fantastically.
Absolutely, and Game 8 is going to prove if Slivko can actually potentially tie it up. Remember, Slivko is actually in a position where he can go 7 wins? No, 6 wins, and tie himself with the greats of the NASL Gauntlet. That would be Select. That would be, who am I missing? Crank and Bling.
Yes.
Those 3, the top earners in the NASL Gauntlet.
Oh, and Nerchio.
And Nerchio.
Yes.
Remember, $75 for every single win that you get. Slivko is at 4. We're going to see in a little bit if he's able to win against his opponent. It will be, we don't know yet. So Game 8.
It will be question mark.
After this, don't go anywhere.